Hey guys, if you can't tell by the title, this is going to be a review of the newest X-Men movie, Dark Phoenix, and also the final X-Men movie that Fox will be making. Um, but before I get into it, I do want to let you guys know a couple things. Number one, I love X-Men. Like, seriously, I love the X-Men. Like, no, I love the X-Men. If you can't tell from that, then I don't care. Point being, am I an expert? Expert? No. Do I buy a lot of comics? No, I read most of them online because it is way easier and it is way, way cheaper, especially for someone who's broke. And I don't know everything about all the characters, but I do enjoy them. They are my favorite superhero team, yes, even over the Avengers, stuff like that. But basically, a little bit of that is going to be, that was just me explaining this. I do want to tell you, I'm going to try to not make this movie review biased. And I'm also going to let you know that there is going to be no spoilers in this. So I will be talking about how much like screen time characters got and stuff, but I won't be talking about what they were doing unless it was stuff featured in the trailers or TV spots. So if you haven't seen those, I promise you none of this will be from anything outside of that. But I would like to let you know there's not going to be a biased review, but I am totally going to fanboy and freak out probably multiple times throughout it. So, yeah, with that, let's get right into it. X-Men Dark Phoenix is the finale to a movie series that I've grown up with since I was a kid, despite a soft reboot they had in the middle. If you guys have seen Days of Future Past, I'm sure I will talk about the X-Men in a future video, so I can explain it in that. If not, just roll with this. It is the last movie, not for the X-Men necessarily, but for the company Fox's production of the X-Men, now that Disney's acquired the rights and is planning on bringing them, along with the Fantastic Four and other heroes and villains, into the MCU. So, what I would like to say is, the finale normally goes out, normally the heroes, you want them to go out with a huge bang. I love the movie, I'll tell you that right up front, but it went out with, like, a small bang. Like, small. But summary, I'm going to go into the summary now, just real quick of the movie. While, yes, it did go out with a small bang, it started with a big bang, as, like I said, in the trailers, we see everybody's favorite X-Men go into space to save a shuttle crew. You also see a little bit of Quicksilver jumping in the ship with Nightcrawler and zip-zapping around, because he's the fast one, so of course you're going to send him. Now, if you don't know the basic plot of Dark Phoenix, I will break it down real quick. Again, spoiler free, this is just stuff that you can tell without watching the movie at all. So like I said, right away, you have the X-Men going into space, and Jean Grey, who's played by Sophie Turner, she's in Game of Thrones, she's in a few other things, she's married to Joe Jonas, love the Jonas Brothers, off topic though. She comes into contact with something called the Phoenix Force. I don't know what exactly you'd want to call it in this case scenario. And it gives her, well, she already has abilities. She's a mutant, and if you don't know what a mutant is, someone who has powers when they're born. It gives her new abilities and slightly enhances her old ones. It's kind of hard to tell throughout some of the movie. But it's called Dark Phoenix because some of the kids call her Phoenix, and after she gets this, she kind of goes cuckoo, and the X-Men have to stop her, and I will tell you one thing, it is a very emotional movie at parts, it is a very heartfelt movie, it has some funny moments, and I do not think not a single X-Men movie has shown the X-Men working together as well as they did in this, but at the same time, not a single X-Men movie has shown the X-Men working apart as much as they did in this, and you will understand that if you watch the movie. Now, I do want to get into the pros and cons, because I don't want this to be a 50-minute long movie review. Pros. First pro, right off the bat I will tell you, is the actors. I believe that every single person, every single actor absolutely killed their role as their character, even the side characters, they just blended right in. It didn't feel like you were putting someone in the shoes of a fictional character. It felt like you were putting the fictional character in that movie. And I want to give even more praise to love Michael Fassbender as Magneto. He oh my gosh, I just love, he's such a great actor, and I think he portrays Magneto, and I think he's such a good choice for a younger Magneto, even though in this movie he's like 50s, 60s. But from everything from acting as if he has those powers himself to just playing the character, he is phenomenal. He crushes it. And like I said, every single actor did good, so it's not just the ones that I'm going to talk about. Ty Sheridan, he played Cyclops. I was not a huge fan of him. I've never been a huge fan of Cyclops until these last few years when I started reading a few more comics. I just didn't like him a lot in the original movies because he kind of went head to head with Wolverine for Jean, and I was a diehard Wolverine fan, still kind of am. But what I will tell you is Ty Sheridan not only killed his role as Cyclops, Cyclops was, I think, one of the most likable characters in this movie that I've ever seen in any movie. He was so determined, he was so into it, he knew what he was doing. Every time he blasted the lasers out of his eyes, you just knew that he knew where he was blasting them, he knew why he was blasting them. His character was just so good. I loved it. You will have to watch the movie and you will most likely appreciate it yourself. Now, moving on from the actors, I'm going to tell you though, everyone did a great job, and character-wise in the movie, like I said, love Cyclops, love Magneto, also love Beast. I've always loved Beast in all of the movies, except I wasn't a huge fan of him in the originals. I like him a lot more in the younger one. But yes, moving on from the characters in terms of what the movie actually got right and what it got wrong. Now, like I said, I'm not going to try and be too biased, but I am going to tell you, even if it's something that got wrong, if I enjoyed it. So, we're going to start with things that got right, and I'm going to tell you right now that number one is, I'm not going to try and place these in order of what's the most right and what's the most wrong or anything like that, but I will tell you that one thing they definitely got right was the X-Men themselves. All the characters, like I said before, the actors killed it, and seeing the X-Men work together on the big screen and sometimes work against each other, even though we've seen it before, I personally have never seen it like this. Another thing they got right, which I will say, is the emotion in the movie. The emotion was a lot of the scenes, not a lot of the scenes were emotional, but the scenes that were emotional, the emotion poured out of the screen. It was like a 4D movie, and the tears were wailing down. And I think that mostly did center on Professor X and Beast and Raven, the boy and girl in blue. I would also like to say that not a lot of people liked all of the actors in this movie, but I do think they were all good actors. I do think they all dedicated themselves to these roles, and I think that's what truly builds a good actor. And I also think, while some of them lacked it a little bit, all of the actors had very good chemistry on screen, and that made the characters even more enjoyable to watch. One thing they got wrong in it, while it's in my head, and I don't necessarily think this is a flaw, because I do think the movie was still very enjoyable. I personally, as I said before, loved the movie. Quicksilver. Now, Quicksilver in Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse was a huge showstopper. Evan Peters absolutely killed it, and it's not just him, it's the enjoyment of the scene, seeing him pop the earbuds in and run around the room in slow motion while everyone else freezes. I just loved seeing it so much. I do wish that they would have shown it in this movie. And while you did see Quicksilver, we did not get one of his iconic scenes of him rushing in to save people and listening to an awesome song like Sweet Dreams Are Made of This. And while he did only have 2 of those, they were still very well recognized by almost everyone. And I do wish that he got another one because this is the finale, but I mean, hey, whatever Disney does, technically it's still a possibility. Another thing I'm going to say they did get wrong is the villain. Now, if you guys have seen the trailer, most of you have no idea who the frickin' villain is, and I honestly, I've just seen the movie, don't even really know who she is. She's really not that important of a character in the movie. The movie could have easily been done without her, but I do think with the plot they were going with, I'm not saying she was unnecessary, but I'm saying she could have been developed more, I think is a good way to put it. She could have had not necessarily even a more important role, just a more developed one, a more fleshed out one. Her personality and everything could have been much better. But I do think that all of the enemies they faced in this movie still did make the movie more interesting and make the movie more exciting. Now, one thing I will also talk about for a reason people do not like this movie, timeline. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, if you've watched the original X-Men movies up to Days of Future Past, they did a soft reboot of the timeline. And while the soft reboot definition is a little bit up in the air, here's what I'm going to tell you. Forget absolutely everything you saw Days of Future Past. No, everything you saw prior to Days of Future Past. And just act like it's starting over. Because honestly, that's the only way you can really understand it without questioning the timeline. And then, of course, you got First Class, you got Apocalypse, you got all those amazing movies, in my opinion, even though not a lot of people like them. Another few things I would like to say about the movie. Action scenes were amazing. I loved them. I think the fights were awesome. I think the enemies they fought were awesome. I do also think that the fight choreography was very well. I think each character had their own unique fighting style, and they did their own unique things, and you even saw their personality as they fought. So I do enjoy that. Another thing that they did right before I wrap this up, I do think I don't know how to exactly explain it. Like, I don't know what words to put it in. I think they concluded the series well enough. Now, I do think they also, if you watched it and you saw the end, I do think it's a little bit of, hey, we could continue if we really wanted to, and I'm sure they all want to. I'm sure the cast loves playing the characters that they do, but I'm sure it's more of a, if we could, we would 100% continue based off of this type of ending. And I personally would love to see that. Sadly, we will not, because as far as I believe everyone's concerned, Disney's going to completely recast the majority of the X-Men. And if it was my place to say anything, I would love for them to keep Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and Evan Peters as Magneto, Professor X, and Quicksilver. But yeah, as I talked about the fight scenes and everything, I also talked about the emotion. Scott and Jean's relationship, for those of you who don't know, Cyclops, the laser guys, he has glasses like this, and Pew Pew, and the girl that Sophie Turner plays, they date in the comics and in the past movies, and their relationship could have blossomed more, but you can tell throughout the movie that Scott definitely has very strong feelings towards her, and that he really does care about her, and will do anything to help her. And I think that is another part that makes Cyclops' character more likable. He's not as in the original movies how he was more not grabby, but he was intimidated by Logan's presence because they both liked her. I think it's nice to see him be the only one interested in her and be the only one who really, well, everybody cares about Jean. They all care about each other. They're like family, but to be the only one that cares about her to that extent. So yeah. I think the only other thing I would like to throw out there for those of you who don't know, if you do see it or you think or you don't like it based off of what I've said, originally the movie was supposed to be 2 parts, Phoenix and Dark Phoenix, which I would have personally loved. I think that would have given so much more scenes. I think that would have given us room for a Quicksilver music scene, which I still am dying to see another one. Overall, critically speaking, of course, like I said before, I'm not trying to make this biased. I would probably give this movie a 7 out of 10. I do think that some of the critics are too harsh on it. I think some of the people and the viewers are too harsh on it. And I think some people are already biased against X-Men because of the MCU or because of their opinion on X-Men or what they've heard. My unbiased opinion, my biased opinion, so if this was just me telling you like what I would rank it based on how much I love it, I would easily give it a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, because, sorry Fox, but you could have given me my Quicksilver scene. But overall, if I had to give you a quick little wrap up to just describe the movie, I'd say, don't want to mess this up because I'm trying to use as few words as possible, I'd say it was a thrill ride of a movie that very few points ever felt slow, that flowed incredibly well, and was complemented by the great cast who played their characters phenomenally. In my opinion, very well written story. And it was also helped a lot by just, in general, the the warmth of thinking that this is the last time we're going to see the X-Men together again, at least these actors in this universe, for a long time. So I kind of let that stray on too much, but overall I'd say it was a thrill ride of a movie that was slow at sometimes, but flowed very well throughout the rest, and was only slightly underwhelming for a finale. But it was still a pretty. It was still a above par movie. It was definitely more than decent. It definitely wasn't bad. I would recommend everybody to go watch it. I think it's 100% worth it. And I already know that I'm going to buy my copy the second it comes out on Blu-ray. So yeah, that's what I'd like to say. Just 7 out of 10. Go see it. In my opinion, like I said, 9.5 out of 10 because Quicksilver. But yeah, so I want to thank you guys for checking out this movie review. Sorry, I know I kind of rant sometimes. I really enjoy talking about movies after I see them. Comment down below if you think I should do another movie review. I will definitely be, either way, I'll be doing some, but if you do think I should do some, just comment down below. I want to thank you all for watching. Have a good day, night, week, month, millennia. And if you like the video, you know what to do. So thank you all for checking this out, and I will talk to you next time.